All right, now that you've finished all of the unstuffing questions, we've churned up the waters and you have lots of good memories actually floating to the surface now. So great job. It's time to create that first draft of your activation code. In this video, I'll walk you through an example of a finished activation code, and then Jamie will demonstrate how to customize the template while keeping your unique voice so that your activation code helps you navigate your day more easily, not just at work or with your family, but also with all of the efforts you make getting fit and staying fit. In your copy of the playbook, you'll find a few relevant pages. Page 21 is the example that we'll be looking at in a moment. Page 22 is the template that you'll be using as the basis for your activation code. And page 23 and 24 are blank. So that is where you're going to be able to write your own draft by hand. Now, before jumping into creating yours, let's look at the example so that you have a basic idea about how it all comes together. This example is simply here to give you direction and clarity about what a first draft can look like for you. I love being a determined, ambitious person who is open to learn. I'm proud of taking time for myself so I can create clear organization, solve problems, and raise the bar on standards. Currently, my ultimate priority is enjoying my overall health. I show this priority by being around those who are curious and growth oriented, and by releasing people who argue for their limitations. I choose ownership of my commitment to excellence, curiosity, and agility. In the moments when I notice that I'm feeling annoyed, unsure, or exhausted, the way I get back on track is by taking a break with deep breaths, journaling, or physically moving, and by courageously blocking distractions so I am in the zone. It's a yes because I enjoy people who keep coming back and are considerate of me. And when I feel my intention and purpose and trust, that I can identify worthwhile investments. I release belligerence, cranky uncertainty, and overwhelmed exhaustion. I love knowing my worth because my deep breaths help me notice the potential and possibility that is tingling all around. My paradise is anywhere and everywhere I get to create and design results. When I'm able to move my body, and it's where I find me time. I'm grateful here because I feel alive and connected to the moment, knowing that things are being accomplished. I have trust and confidence in myself because of the skills and abilities that I demonstrated when I wore out 2 pairs of shoes during my first 100 workouts, when I succeeded in my first business, and when I reconstructed the house's foundation. I know I'm on my success peak when I notice signs like getting enough sleep and thinking, I can do this. And when I'm focused, intentionally creating, using my bullet journal, and doing breath work. The signs that I'm slipping into training failure are when I notice I'm multitasking and producing low quality, when I try to do things I have no control over, and when I grind and push until I'm exhausted. I take responsibility for my success by recharging my brain and body, by prioritizing my physical health, and by giving myself what I need in terms of water, food, sleep, sunlight, and exercise. I am reminded of my power when I focus on events like how I stopped relying on stress as fuel, how I focused on my form at the gym without paying attention to anyone around me, and how I won with lots of clients. Because those moments show my commitment. I am nourished by hot water, great bedding, and my favorite scents. I feel nourished when I'm intentional with my attitude and when I spend time with trusting, growth oriented people. I know I am nourished when I feel the sweet ripple of contentment that all is well. My nourishment also comes in the form of beautiful, fun adventure and recognizing when I'm being considered. Now, if you wondered why some words are bold, it's because those words are from the template that you'll be using and expanding upon. Okay, now Jamie's going to walk you through using the template itself on page 22 and how to customize it for you.
All right, so as you can see on page 22, you'll produce the first draft of your activation code by customizing the sentences below. The numbers in brackets refer back to particular unstuffing questions. Your answers for those numbers are like ingredients that you'll use in the activation code recipe to preserve your authentic voice. If you get stuck, definitely reach out for help. I'm going to show you how to refer back to the answers in a minute. And here's the thing, it is entirely possible to look at the template phrases on page 22 and make up answers for all of those sentences without ever looking back at what you actually wrote in your unstuffing answers. In fact, we've seen clients do that in an effort to save energy and time. But the risk of making up a bunch of new random sentences right now is that you will lose your authentic voice and you will not gain the full benefit of this activity. In fact, just a quick story about something that happened. One client who had done a lot of personal development work created an activation code that sounded just like a previous coach, because instead of looking back at her authentic answers on the unstuffing and using the keywords and the concepts that she actually wrote down, she unintentionally started using the coach's voice when she looked at the template, and she filled it in without including the original references that were actually in her unstuffing answers. So in the end, she went through the motions, but she never actually saw the result that she wanted because she tried to take this shortcut. And months later, she was still stuck, not moving forward. We don't want that for you. So even though you could just super fast look at the template and create some new random answers, the goal is to actually look back at your answers, find the keywords, find the concepts, and then transfer those keywords and concepts into the template so that you can connect to your authentic voice and your truth and your priorities every single day, not somebody else's and not with something generic, but yours. So that's why it's really important to look back at your unstuffing answers.
Let's keep this in context. Do it the right way. It only takes a few more minutes.
All right, so let's jump into it. I'm going to show you how to do this. The first sentence of the template is I am, I enjoy, or I love being. And then you use your answers from question 1, 2, and 12 to go for ingredients. So here I'm looking at what I wrote on number 1. The qualities and characteristics I love seeing in my dream clients are great communicators, ambitious, determined, ready to learn, open to growth, and follow instructions. So out of these things, what I feel are the best qualities that I want to embody are being ambitious and determined, and then open to learn. So you can see that I took those and I put those into my example sentence here on the right. I love being a determined, ambitious person who's open to learn. Then I looked at my answers on number 2. The qualities and characteristics that are required by my dream clients from me are professionalism, being organized and clear, certain and knowledgeable, strategic problem solving. So you can see that I used that in the example. I'm proud to take time for myself so I can create clear organization, solve problems, and raise the bar on standards. Now, if you're wondering where that part take time for myself came from, let me just switch pages here. And now when I'm looking at what I wrote on number 12, what brings me into the present, what makes me feel the most connected, taking time for myself. So you can see that to create your first sentence, I am, I enjoy, I love being, and then those qualities and characteristics, you're gonna look back at what you wrote in number 1, what you wrote in number 2, and what you wrote in number 12, and you're gonna let your creative genius come out and just kind of pull those concepts and those keywords together into something that makes sense. Again, don't overthink it, but it is important to use those concepts and those keywords because those are the things that matter to you. So pause the video right now and take the time you need to create this kind of example with that sentence from the template using your answers. The next sentence that you're going to make is currently my ultimate priority is, and we'll find this sentence concept in your answer for number 14. I'll show you here from my notes, what's your goal or target, referring to the big square on the Bridge of Courage. I said I want to improve my health, mostly really my quality of life, by raising muscle mass and continuing to slim and tone my stomach. So I wanted to go in the example with a kind of shorter, more concise version. So you can see here, currently my ultimate priority is enjoying my overall health. You can see the connection between that example sentence and what I wrote here. Now, when you decide to do it, you could be more descriptive or you could also keep it simple. It's your choice how you want to do that. So take a moment, pause the video, and look at your answer for number 14 to finish that sentence. The The next sentence is, I show this as a priority by being around those or those kinds of people who, and then we will put characteristics from number 10, and by releasing people who have characteristics from number 8. When I look at my answers for number 10, what are the green flags that someone is a dream connection? I wrote things like there's ease and gliding without resistance, they're open, they're trusting, they're curious, I enjoy my time with them, time slips away, they're ready to grow, they desire progress, and they're willing to do what it takes. So based on those kinds of ideas, keywords, and concepts, I created this example sentence. I show this as a priority by being around those who are curious and growth oriented. So here you can see that in the example, I didn't use every single idea that's in here. You can add more if you want to. It's your choice about how much detail you want to put in there. But the example just shows you that connection between number 10 and then the final result. Now with number 8, we're releasing people who do something different. So I'm gonna look right over here on my answers for number 8. What are the red flags that someone is not actually a dream connection? So belligerent, ignores what I say, argues with suggestions, puts up roadblocks, dislikes vision setting and growth, isn't willing to explore new options or truly let their guard down to be real. I feel frustrated, they argue for their limitations. So in the end, out of all of these, because I had kind of a lot of different concepts in there, I just simply chose this one that they're arguing for their limitations. So that's kind of like to me, it feels like it summarizes that. And so it's not necessary to put every single concept in there, but you want to pause the video and decide how you want to finish your sentence with number 10 and number 8. The next sentence is, I choose ownership of, and we're going to pull concepts and keywords out of the answers to number 16 and 22. When I answered number 16, I said that I was committed to excellence, results, beauty, art, craft, humility, curiosity, laughing at my mistakes, and then also speed and agility. So I was thinking about which of those things are really the most important to me, and you can see in the example over here that I extracted some of those concepts. Regarding number 22, when are you at your strongest? Well rested, enough sleep. And then I said, not just that actually. When I'm focused and intentional and when I think I can do this. So here, I decided that I didn't want to pull so much from these, right? Like it's just a possibility to take out a 22. So in my answer, I pulled more out of number 16, and you can see how that ended up. I choose ownership of my commitment to excellence, curiosity, and agility. So like I said before, this is an opportunity to use your creative genius and combine the concepts and the keywords that you're seeing here. Take a moment to pause the video and evaluate what you have in 16 and 22 that can help you write that sentence. Our next sentence is, in the moments when I notice that I'm. And now we're pulling sensations and thoughts and feelings from number 25 and 37. When you doubt yourself, what thoughts are in your head? What sensations are in your body? These are really important, whatever you wrote here, because that's your reaction. No coach can tell you what that is. No one outside you can tell you that. You're the only one that is really aware of what those thoughts or sensations are. Here I wrote, I'm cranky, annoyed, short, impatient, and also hesitation, unsure. So you can see that's what I used to create the example here. In the moments when I notice that I'm feeling annoyed, unsure, or exhausted, right? Those all came out of here. And also they came out of 37. What makes your body feel bad? Conflict, overwhelm, exhaustion. So in my example sentence, I'm trying to pull the top 3. You might want to avoid having a really long list at this point because the sentence does continue, but take a moment to pause the video and review your answers, the concepts and keywords in 25 and 37, and try to pull out the top 3 most impactful for you. The rest of the sentence is, the way I get back on track is by doing some things that we'll find in 51 and by courageously doing some things that we'll find in 23. In 51, I answered that what makes me calm is deep breaths, taking a break, bullet journaling, exercise, good music and movement, energy amplifier, also related to taking deep breaths. So I don't really need to duplicate that. You can see in the example, I wrote, the way I get back on track is by taking a break with deep breaths, journaling, or physically moving. So that's the first part that came out of 51. And then the sentence continues, and by courageously, and that keeps going with 23. In 23, when you're at your strongest, what thoughts and sensations are in your head and in your body? There's nothing but this mission I'm on. There's no one to watch but myself. I'm blocking everything. I'm unfuckwithable. Purposeful focus in the zone. So out of all of that, I summarized it and just said here in the example, and by courageously blocking distractions so that I'm in the zone. Pause the video and take a moment to explore your concepts and keywords from 51 and 23 to customize this sentence. Our next sentence is, it's a yes because I enjoy concepts and keywords we'll find in 33, and when I think and feel concepts and keywords we'll find in 43. On 33, I said, how do you know that you're valued? They keep coming back. I don't need to waste anything proving, and I'm considered. So you can see how that kind of concept and keyword was transformed into this example here. It's a yes because I enjoy people who keep coming back and are considerate of me. And when I think and feel things that bring certainty to my world. On number 43, I answered this with my attitude, my intention, my purpose, my determination, my trust in my ability to identify worthwhile investments of time, energy, and money. So I used those kinds of concepts and keywords to finish. And when I feel my intention, purpose, and trust that I can identify worthwhile investments. Pause the video and take a moment to review your concepts and keywords on 33 and 43 to customize that sentence. Our next sentence is I release things from number 8, 25, and 37. 8 is the red flags that someone is not a dream connection. 25 are the doubting thoughts and sensations. And 37 is the things that makes your body feel bad. So in here, we're actively releasing and letting go of these things. On 37, some of what I wrote was conflict, overwhelm, exhaustion, and you can see that connection in the example. In number 25, you can see that I mentioned being cranky and also uncertain or unsure. So you can see how that showed up here. And in number 8, you can see that I had this concept about belligerence. And so that also made its way into my example sentence. So pause the video, take a moment to review those different answers and pull out the keywords and the concepts that you feel are really the most impactful for you. Our next sentence is, I love knowing my worth because of the things that we find in number 20. And number 20 is all about the liberation or freedom. What liberation or freedom feels like in your body or your mind. For myself, I wrote a deep breath, potential, possibility, a giant self-satisfied smile, and a kind of tingling feeling like I'm unchained. So considering all of that, I summarized it into this example sentence here. I love knowing my worth because my deep breaths help me notice the potential and possibility tingling all around. And if there's a part of your mind that gets a little stuck on the logic of this sentence and you're like, but what does this really mean? Don't think about it too much because again, what's really important is that we are priming you every day with reminders of what matters and what makes you feel good. And when you customize this sentence to your answers in number 20, you will improve your attitude and your outlook on the day. So take a moment to pause the video and review what you wrote in 20 to finish that sentence in the most logical way that you can. The next sentence is, my paradise is where I am in the place of number 27, and it's where I'm in the place of number 29. In number 27, we're looking at where you feel the most powerful. So it's not actually a physical location necessarily. It's more kind of state of mind of like paradise is power. For me, that's work, getting clients results, when I'm in the gym, basically moving my body. So it doesn't have to be in the gym. It could also be a park. It could be hiking. When I'm creating or making. So that could also be during program development. But those are the three kind of top areas for me. So you can see that I've used that here to customize the example. My paradise is anywhere and everywhere I get to create and design results. So I kind of combined a little bit here about creating or making with getting results. And when I'm able to move my body, and it's where I find me time. Number 29, where are you the most aligned or happiest? This is another one of those questions that blurs between a physical location and a state of mind or activities that you might be doing that bring you into a state of flow or peaceful happiness. So for myself, I said when I'm creating under headphones, journaling with my music, taking my time to do me, seeing or feeling progress. So this thing about taking my time to do me, that is where I ended up pulling that idea. It's where I find me time. So again, pause the video and review your answers on 27 and 29 and pull out the concepts and keywords that identify where your paradise is and what you're doing when it's happening. The next sentence is, I'm grateful here or in paradise because, and then you're going to fill in the blank. There's nothing that you've written down in your unstuffing questions so far that correlates to this. So you're just going to use your imagination right now and just pull up the reasons why you're grateful. In my example, I said, I'm grateful here because I feel alive and connected to the moment, knowing that things are being accomplished. Take a moment to pause the video and fill in why you're grateful for this. Our next sentence is, I have trust and confidence in myself because of the skills and abilities that I demonstrated when I did the things in number 18. So when we look back at 18, I had these achievements that I was the proudest of in my life. And I'll tell you that every time I've answered these, this list of achievements has changed. So you may actually have more than this, but I would say just pull from whatever is coming up that you really just feel the best about. So for myself, I wore out 2 pairs of running shoes because of completing my first 100 workouts. Things that happened in my first business, healing myself so I'm not addicted to stress, reconstructing my house's foundation, and also more recently, my VO2 max test results are something that I'm super proud of. But anyway, I looked through these and I created this sentence. I have trust and confidence in myself because of the skills and abilities that I demonstrated when I wore out 2 pairs of shoes during my first 100 workouts, when I succeeded in my first business, and when I reconstructed the house's foundation. So take a moment to look back at your achievements in 18 and pull out maybe the top 3 that you feel the best about to customize your sentence like the example. Our next sentence is, I know I'm on my success peak when I notice signs like things that we find in 22, 23, 27, 29, and 51. So this is a sentence where we're really going to a wide range of our answers and trying to pull, when do we know that we're successful? And the success peak is your peak of success, your maximum success, the time that you're the most successful, when you are performing and you're doing your best. What are those signs? In number 2, when are you at your strongest? I said when I'm well rested, enough sleep, also focused, intentional, thinking I can do this. On number 23, we're repeating, looking at how we know when we're at our strongest, what the thoughts in our head or our sensations in our body are. So this is where I said, there's nothing but the mission I'm on, no one to watch but myself. I'm blocking everything. I'm in the zone, unfuckwithable, purposeful focus. So you can see how already some of those keywords came over here into the example. I know I'm on my success peak when I notice signs like getting enough sleep and thinking I can do this. That has a direct tie to something that I wrote here in number 22, just as an example. In number 27, we're reviewing what makes you feel the most powerful. Now from here, I just took out creating. That was the only word that I took out of this one on 27, just because that was the only one that really spoke to me. On number 29, where it's about feeling the most aligned or happiest, I felt like this was a little bit repetitive. So in this situation, I didn't find a lot in 29 that I wanted to take out, but you might, because everybody's going to answer these a little bit differently. And that's the other reason that we have you look in so many places on this, is because sometimes it takes answering things in different ways to really pull out the gold or the gems. 51 reviews this about what makes you calm. And so in this case, I had more tangible, actionable things. Taking deep breaths, bullet journaling, exercising, taking a break. So again, you can see how that made its way into my example. And when I'm focused, intentionally creating, using my bullet journal, and doing breath work. So pause the video and take a moment to review your answers from those different 5 questions and just pull out the top signs that are showing you that you are at maximum performance, how you know that you're operating at peak success. Our next sentence is so important, so powerful and valuable. The signs that I'm slipping into training failure are when I notice signs that we discover in question 25, 37, and 49. 25 is about the sensations and thoughts you have in your head or body when you're doubting yourself. 37 is about what makes your body feel bad. And 49 is about what makes you the most stressed. And the reason why this question is so important is because when you are a high performer or you are a determined person and you are a perfectionist, you want to keep performing well, identifying these signs that things are starting to go wrong. We're starting to get into a suboptimal performance zone where we're not actually doing our best anymore. This is really important because often we have the ability to push ourselves, but that's not what we need when we're in this situation. So that's why we want to be identifying this. And also, this is how we take steps forward to achieve our goals without getting hurt or without getting injured or causing damage to our bodies. So it's incredibly important to take this time to start noticing these kinds of signs. My example here on the side is the signs that I'm slipping into training failure are when I notice I'm multitasking and producing low quality, when I try to do things I have no control over, and when I grind and push until I'm exhausted. And again, all of those concepts and keywords came out of the way that I answered 25, 37, and 49. So take a moment now to review your answers on those questions and pull out the top signs, maybe 3 or 4, that really ring true for you, that get your attention and help you realize that you are not performing at your best anymore and you're starting to slip into an area where failure will continue. Our next sentence is, and I take responsibility for my success by doing something, and by doing something that we're going to find in number 39 and 45. This is an incredibly important sentence because it allows you to reverse out of failure, to make a U-turn if you want, or to change directions, to take control and to take action to get you out of a bad place. And so we're probably going to find those answers in what you wrote down in 39 and 45. For example, how do you know that you're in balance, right? This is the opposite of failure. This is when things are good. My body and brain feel good, no eye strain, no twitches, no shooting pains inside my head, no pains in my torso. I'm energized, I feel fresh, I can react to challenges without spiraling out of control. So you can see here in my example how I connected it, and I take responsibility for my success by recharging my brain and body, by prioritizing my physical health, and by giving myself what I need in terms of water, food, sleep, sunlight, and exercise. And that last part came out more from my answers on number 39, where I was saying, what makes your body feel good? And I had a list of some common things. So take a moment, pause your video, and review what you wrote on 39 and 45 and create the rest of your sentence of what you can do to take responsibility for being successful. Our next sentence is, I'm reminded of my power when I focus on events like what happened in 41, 42, and like what happened in 18 because ... Now, in this one, you get to do a mashup of your favorite experiences, your favorite achievements, and things that made you feel the most powerful. If you don't find something in 41, like in this example here, I was just giving generalizations. I'm confident, I make choices in the gym faster and easier, I feel better when I see myself in the mirror, my clothes fit better, more comfortably, I see and feel muscle gains. But there was this one moment that I talked about in number 42 that I was really aware that I was achieving progress. During my personal training session with R, I was focused on my form and I didn't pay attention to the people around us, and I didn't have any urge to ask him a bunch of questions to create pointless conversation. So for me, that felt like a real win. The rest of my achievements came out of number 18. Here it was things about business, healing myself so I'm not addicted to stress. And you can see that that made it into the example. I'm reminded of my power when I focus on events like how I stopped relying on stress as fuel, how I focused on my form at the gym without paying attention to anyone else around me, and how I won with lots of clients because those moments show my commitment. Basically, you're just gonna take a moment to pause the video and look back over your responses for 41, 42, and 18, pull out your favorite achievements, and then at the end of that, finish it off with some kind of reason about what those moments show you in terms of your power. Our next sentences put us in the home stretch. I am nourished by things that I find in 35. So here we're looking at what feels good to your senses. And these are, tastes and food, but also more than that, right? Touches, smells, feels, and sights. So here I had things like satin pillowcase, hot water, my favorite perfuming cologne, sunlight of all colors, and then I listed some things like pink at sunrise, and then walks when the season's changing. So out of that, I pulled out some of my favorites and I wrote, I am nourished by hot water, great bedding, and my favorite scents. Take a moment to pause the video and review what you wrote in 35 to finish your sentence. Our next sentence is, I feel nourished when I'm in a situation like number 43 and when I spend time with people from number 31. This is a really powerful sentence because it expands and broadens your concept of nourishment to be more than just food, but a multi-sensory experience that actually feeds your soul. 43 has you look at what brings certainty to your world. In my case, I wrote my attitude, intention, my purpose, determination. And so that was part of what I used here in my example. I feel nourished when I'm intentional with my attitude. In number 31, I said who I value the most are open, trusting, growth-oriented people who show that they also value me. And so that's how I finished the rest of my sentence, when I spend time with trusting, growth-oriented people. Take a moment to review your answers on 43 and 31 to finish your sentence. Our next sentence is, I know I'm nourished when I'm in the situation of 47. 47 is, how do you know when you're nourished? And for me, I wrote, that sweet ripple of contentment flows through me and all is well. There is enough of everything. So I took that idea's spirit, or the keywords and the concepts from there, and I put that into this example. I know I'm nourished when I feel the sweet ripple of contentment that all is well. So that one is very similar to my original. Yours may change, and that's okay. If you need to summarize it a little bit to get the spirit to make it work for it, do that. Take a moment to pause the video and finish your sentence. Our final sentence is, my nourishment also comes in the form of things that happen in 53 and recognizing situations from 33. Question 53, what is satisfying to you? I wrote quality, results, beauty, fun, taking time for adventures, and letting my mind unwind. So you can see how that made its way into the example. My nourishment also comes in the form of beautiful, fun adventure and recognizing when I'm being considered, which came out of this answer here, 33. How do I know I'm being valued? They keep coming back, I'm being considered. So that's how I combined those ideas. Pause the video and take a moment to finish your final sentence.
And there you go. By this point, you should have a first draft of your activation code. This is a huge win, and we'll see you in the next video.